Conservative pollster Frank Luntz has some very frank advice for Donald Trump. And the advice is very simple. For Donald Trump to turn his campaign around, he just has to do one thing, according to this conservative pollster. Unfortunately for Donald Trump, it's the one thing that he is physically incapable of doing. And that is, shut up. Here is what Frank Luntz said in an interview with CNN following Donald Trump's idiotic press conference on Thursday. Luntz said, "They expect it, but it doesn't mean that they appreciate it and they're going to vote for it. They've known Donald Trump since 2015. They've not known Vice President Harris. She can be defined, which is what Trump is trying to do. The problem is, where's the campaign's focus on substance and where's she changed her point of view? Trump is focused on insults. If I were advising him, which I am not, I would look him straight in the eye and say, 'Sir, you need to shut up. You need to stop behaving like a petulant child and start focusing on what the American people want in a way that they want to hear it. Look, if I yell and scream at you every time you had me on,'" he's saying this to the host, "you'll stop having me on and you'll stop listening. Trump doesn't understand that. And people have to tell him the truth because at this point, she's gotten her convention bounce before the convention, and I think Harris could have a 5 or 6 point lead coming out of that convention if Donald Trump continues to behave the way that he has." Every word that Mr. Luntz said right there, I agree with wholeheartedly. Other than she's had her pre-convention. I don't think it's been a pre-convention bounce. The polls have indicated, and he should know this as a pollster, it's not just a bounce because she's new and shiny. It's a bounce because she got all those people that were called, quote, double haters who hated Biden and hated Trump. But now they just hate Trump and they don't hate the Democratic nominee. So these were fence sitters who didn't want either person that are now going over to her side. Polls this week proved that. There was a Monmouth College poll, by the way, in case you wanted to look it up. But the rest of it is absolutely correct. Donald Trump's own worst enemy is himself. And the biggest liability of that person is the mouth, the words, the anger, the temper, all of that. That's what turns the voters off. Unfortunately for Donald Trump, the only way he can get attention right now is to be the biggest a-hole he can be. Because every time he goes out there and he's a bully, a jerk, a jackass, whatever, the media talks about it. So Trump thinks, oh, okay, well, I did bad things, but the media talked about it. I'm back in the headlines. Everybody loves me because they're talking about me. So he does it more because he wants more of that attention. But the more he does it, the more he turns off the voters. So he is trapped in this endless cycle of I have to be crazy to be in the headlines, but the more crazy I get, the more people hate me. And then the more people hate me, the crazier I get, which puts me in more headlines, which makes people hate me, which makes me crazier. It is a self-perpetuating cycle that only Trump himself can stop. And the only way he can stop it, as Luntz points out, is to shut up. But that is the one thing that Donald Trump is incapable of doing. During the debate that he had with President Biden, a month or so ago, whatever it was, end of June, Trump was actually a little more reserved, right? He was not his usual bombastic self. He seemed low energy, to be honest, but he got a couple of good zingers in there on President Biden. But basically, he sat back and he let President Biden tank himself. But now he's up against an opponent that can't do that, that won't do that, that is not going to do that. Harris is not going to tank her own campaign. So Trump has to change strategies. The strategy that he tried for so long, insulting Biden's age, insulting his cognitive ability, those are now all the issues that voters associate with Trump. So he can't just sit back and hope that Harris destroys herself. That ain't going to happen. So he has to talk. He has to get on Truth Social. He has to do rallies and interviews and press conferences. And the more he does it, the less the voters like him, so he gets even crazier. He needs to shut up if he wants to win this election, but there is no chance in hell he will ever do that. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena, and Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to fair and balanced yet, so please don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.